go ahead.
Excellent. Good evening. This is the June 11th, 2025 meeting of the Ware Conservation Commission. Chairman Andy Fulton, call the meeting to order at 7:05. And excellent, we get another member present. Steve Nager won't be able to join us this evening. To my left, immediate left, I got Mike Camacho, our secretary. Beyond him, Ray LeMay, member. To my right, members Mark Phillips, Sherry Burdick, and Zuzu Tateswin. So that gives us a quorum and then some, and we are ready to do business. As we do have a guest here, as is our tradition, we ask you to come right on up front and center before we do any other business, and let us know what you're working on and how we might be of assistance, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. My name is Pete Madsen. I'm a senior project engineer at Keach Nordstrom Associates in Bedford, representing the project applicant and owner Brian Kelly with me today. So, as you guys may or may not know, we are here tonight looking for some input from you guys and hopefully a favorable recommendation that we can use for the zoning board. The project that we have currently requires a variance for unpermitted disturbance of the wetland zone. So that's what I'm here tonight to talk about and show to you guys. I'll also mention the project does require a wetland permit by notification from NHDES, which we are currently working on submitting right now. Just to start with kind of a little brief history on the project and how we got to where we are. There are 10 lots shown here which are located off of Eastman Way and Barnard Hill Road up there. This was the original subdivision plan, which was done circa 2003, 2004, and it was part of the larger subdivision down there for Rolling Hills, Eastman Way, those roads. It had this original connection point that had the right-of-way kind of extending through and connecting Eastman to Barnard Hill Road. That's a paper street. It exists only on paper. It was never actually built. There is a turnaround that was constructed down here, but that's it. Nothing else has been done. While they are lots of record, there's no road. One thing I'll point out here, and this doesn't have the wetlands on it, but we'll get there. This right-of-way, what they originally contemplated for the subdivision, there were a number of wetland crossings, 2 wetland crossings, and a number of wetland impacts that were associated with the road. What Brian's looking to do is much less impactful than what this original plan contemplated. So, if we go here, actually, I'd like to start here and show you guys what he's looking to do. So, he's looking to consolidate those 10 lots into the 3 shown here. 2 of these lots are going to be accessed from Eastman down here with a shared driveway. One of the lots is going to be accessed up on Barnard Hill. That's the one I'm going to focus on today. So this is kind of just a zoomed up view of that lot and the driveway.
Just backing up, what were the lot sizes on?
They are all over 10 acres. This lot in particular is 18.
Okay.
I think it's 18 and a half actually. So this lot right here, the 18 and a half lot, this is the one that's going to be accessed off of Barnard Hill Road. As you can see, we have a driveway here 12 foot wide. This is our crossing location in here, turnaround for fire access, and a house up there. Like I said, 12 foot wide driveway. And that's just, that driveway has to cross the wetland here, obviously to provide access to some of this upland area back here. As far as the actual crossing that we're showing right now, we're still kind of working it through, Brian and myself, as well as the wetland scientists. We've been back and forth on a couple designs here, but I kind of wanted to show you guys worst case scenario on what the largest impact could be, just in case. I have a feeling it's going to go down a little bit, but figured I'd get to the worst case.
Right up front and center. Who did the wetland?
Chris Danforth, wetland scientist.
With?
He's with TF Moran now, but he did this freelance.
Okay.
So the actual crossing itself, we have this plan right here, which shows the driveway profile, and this kind of blow-up detail right here. What we're proposing is a 48-inch by 36-inch box culvert with 12 inches of stream simulation underneath. This is, NHDES has been kind of going this way lately. Like I said, I think we're going to have an opportunity to kind of work this down a little bit as we go work through with the wetland scientist. But again,
what's your direction of flow on that?
direction of flow, going down this way.
So it's out of the large wetland?
Yes,
It's
yep.
at the outlet end?
Yep,
Okay.
correct, yep. And we took a look at stream stats and got the calculations and everything for sizing that culvert. Like I said, working to get the wetland permit, just a permit by notification. As far as the actual impacts go here, we're showing a permanent wetland impact of 682 square feet, temporary wetland impact of 365 square feet, and the actual disturbance to the 25-foot buffer itself is somewhere around 2,100 square feet. So not a lot when you consider what could be put in here, being that 24-foot wide road, a much larger crossing. You got 5-foot shoulder on each side of the road, side slopes. So I think what Brian's doing here is great. He's really shrinking down the disturbance.
How do you get to that 2,100?
That's, yeah, absolutely. So this plan right here, just a quick calc of the actual, here's the 25-foot buffer, this line right here.
Right.
And then you just do a quick little calc showing where the edge of the tree line is, the edge of the grading impacts. So like I said, just looking to get some impact or input from you guys. We're going to the zoning board in a few weeks here and would love to have some positive feedback and at least reference what you guys say to the zoning board when we go.
Any pictures you can share with us? of the-
Absolutely, yeah.
Or the outlet area?
Yeah, so this is, here, I'll just pass a couple of these around. That's kind of the wetland area. Kind of just in this area as the stream channel kind of becomes more defined.
Is that a perennial stream?
That's a good question. I know I have the classifications on here somewhere. That one is R4, so yeah, riverine intermittent streambed mud seasonally flooded is the classification.
Where was the original road gonna go?
Right, exactly where that is. So we just took the center line and shrunk it down, made it a driveway. That's the thinnest point of the crossing, so made sense to keep it.
Now, as I mentioned at the planning board meeting, I'd much rather see 3 lots, 3 nice big lots, than to have 10 lots and a road, and the town has to maintain a road and everything else. This is, in my opinion, much better.
I think Brian would agree.
So, some people mention that they like to see roads go through to other places. I disagree. I don't think it becomes a racetrack through a subdivision for a shortcut. This way here eliminates that. Just my input.
And we are certainly open for questions and comments of Peter, and as your members try to digest what we're looking at and what we're hearing here. So thanks, Ray, for those
And just
thoughts.
to be clear, this was already an approved subdivision.
Yes, approved
So they could
subdivision.
go through with this if they wanted.
Yep, absolutely.
So that's one thing, you know, we should, mine has already been approved.
Right, and another thing to keep in mind, that we don't always see this, but these areas sometimes do move a lot of water. So it's really good to look at it at a very high water table, high discharge time to reinforce that what you're proposing for a structure is building for this, even though maybe 95% of the time it'll look like a trickle or just a little puddle down below it.
These
so.
pictures were taken May 22nd, I
And that,
believe.
and that is so much, I'm just glad to hear it, because it's so much more valuable for the landowner, and of course, from our perspective, for
Yeah.
the natural value to have that unimpaired and have it, as you mentioned, 12-inch, trying to simulate a natural bottom. That's what we're hoping for, and I think that's probably what Wetlands Bureau is looking for on these things, so good for that.
How far in on Bonnet Hill is that road coming up?
How far, like to the end here where the house is?
No, on Bonnet Hill Road. Where's
The
that
driveway, where the
driveway?
proposed
Where's
driveway
the
is.
proposed driveway? Do you have a picture of that?
Yeah, I don't have a picture of it, but these two lots, kind of in between these two lots, there's a couple stone walls here. That's 193 Barnard Hill and 183, so right in between those two lots, if you're familiar.
What are the abutter names to the north there?
That is
Northwest?
Kyle D. Mason, Julian M. Goldsworthy, and Michael F. and Megan E. Ball.
Okay. As far as the local ordinance, You know, we know the buffer's going to be impact for reasonable driveways, and what we're looking for is a strategy to minimize the impact and not be, you know, callous about it. So it would seem the landscape points you to one spot, and that's where you're going, and you're looking to do it right, so that's good. Any other?
Lower lots don't have any impacts to go across wetlands.
Oh, sir, yep.
That makes it, I just like the whole idea of it, minimum, big lots, minimum impact to the terrain versus 10 lots, which will have.
Absolutely, avoidance and, you know, and we do recognize that sometimes the building envelope is a challenge to get to without having some impact, so that's understood going into it.
The PBN, that include a wildlife survey?
It includes NHB, which we've taken a look at.
Okay.
No wildlife survey though, as far as I know.
So it's a database check.
Yes.
And does that permit by notification require anything of us signature-wise, or?
So it's kind of funny, they just added single-family homes with just one driveway as part of the PBN. It used to be minimum expedited. You can do it, it just takes longer if you don't go to the Conservation Commission. I think they extend their review period.
It's like a 30-day
30 days, yeah, and they shorten it if we meet with you guys. So honestly, I think the process of going through the town might take longer than the wetland PBN anyway, so.
Yeah, there are a couple of us here who work for DES disclosure-wise, and from different programs, neither one of us directly in this, but there's definitely been a push to streamline and to make it accessible and make sure that the regulating it is not used as a cudgel to
Yeah.
to keep
Hamper.
folks
Yeah.
in place and not acting on their plans, so.
Sure.
Glad to hear maybe that it's, there's some success in trying to make state government even accessible and working for folks and not an impediment, not too much anyways. And it looks from afar here like you do have the wetland stamp there. That's something that
Yes, yes, sir.
we like to see on plans as quick as it can be put there, and sometimes it's,
Actually,
so,
it was Tim Ferwerda who surveyed the wetlands. Chris is doing the permitting itself.
permitting, gotcha. Yeah, we see a lot of, we have seen, and that was the work done for the original,
No, these had to get re-verified
Did,
because it was
okay.
passed, yeah, it was done in 2003, so they expire after 5 years. So,
no,
yep,
good.
all
We
redone.
see a lot of work from Chris in town, for sure.
Yeah, I used to work for K&A for a little while.
Well, I kind of agree with Ray that going from 10 to 3 is a whole lot better, and a single wetland impact versus multiple, I think is a plus on our side,
Right.
so.
Yeah, I mean, you've done your marketing research, trying to figure out what you can sell and what you want to build, or what you would like to see happen with it, so.
Yeah, I mean,
Sometimes, you know, bigger will work, other times folks want to cluster and make more lots, but, you know,
Yeah.
certainly on something like this, when you don't have to build a road, then you eliminate, from the natural perspective, a lot of impact. Even though it's perfectly legitimate impact, it is nonetheless impact, so it is a bonus from the conservation perspective to see the avoidance and the redesign to, that, you know, is helpful to part of what we're charged with protecting. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off if you had anything else, Brian.
Just looking to build a spot for me and my family and
Yeah.
make another couple of nice spots for somebody on a dead-end road, a nice neighborhood, so it's gonna be a win for everybody, I think. And
Have that potential for things to be, that folks are interested in current use and have a little benefit of getting a break on a larger lot that you're not afforded on the smaller lots. So, good.
Now, is this something that you guys will issue some kind of letter or email or something to the zoning board, or how do you guys usually rule on this, or?
We, typically, especially if it's zoning board, we have not been in the habit of providing any recommendations.
Okay,
Nor have they been typically requested from us.
Okay.
But we have our minutes that stand on their own. And if we were, anything was requested of us, the comment would be, well, we discussed it without objection.
yeah, absolutely, okay,
It's sort of a neutral stance, not an advocacy or not a.
Sure.
Certainly not in any way an impediment. But
okay,
I think the value to you as a designer and as owner is that you can tell zoning, yes, we went to conservation, we presented our plans. We can look at their minutes for discussion wise, what points they made, if there's any question, and I don't know whether zoning might ever ask a direct question of us typically. Or in decades of doing this, I haven't seen it, so I
Okay.
don't expect it, I guess is what I'm saying.
fair enough, yeah. No, I've seen it in other towns before, so just
Yeah.
was not familiar with your guys' procedure, but it sounds like
We
it's all
appreciate
good.
you coming in with experience, but without expecting that we're doing mirror images. And so that's good to know that you're not assuming too much, but looking to understand where our interaction with it is confined.
Absolutely.
I don't think anybody here, I certainly can't think of an instance where we've seen somebody just do something blatantly ignorant in their approach, where we've felt compelled to step in and say, you know what, that really
Yeah,
doesn't make
yeah.
any sense, and that's, our comment's gonna be, that makes no sense, it is not keeping with the purpose of the zoning, of the state, or, I'm sorry, of the town zoning ordinance, and if we saw something like that, we'd mention it, but,
We did have a comment that one time the guy wanted to put a driveway across a pond.
Oh, yeah, over on
Was there one?
Buxton School.
Pond, yeah.
Yeah, Buxton School Road.
do you know?
That one was,
I don't even remember that one, but
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
somebody does.
I mean, if you guys want, we can switch it, we can put it right here.
No,
I don't think that works for anyone or benefits any, so anyways, well done, guys, I appreciate you bringing it to us.
Thank you.
And,
The meetings are recorded on YouTube if you wanna review any specific quotes to bring to the.
Yes, sir, yeah, appreciate that. Okay. Thank you, guys, appreciate your time.
thank you.
Yep, thank you.
I do it on my phone, so. You do that with all the time meetings?
It's under live. You're looking on it, look under live. and it
He
gives
doesn't have a
you-
TV.
What?
He doesn't have a TV.
No,
on YouTube.
Oh, man, that's why it's
Well,
still
I do,
bright,
it's just in the basement on top. Don't use it.
there you go.
You're looking at videos, but if you look under live, you'll find it.
Cool, alright, appreciate it, guys.
Have a good one.
Yep.
When you're insomnia, go ahead and try it.
All right. Another wetlands type business, we have none, so why don't we just jump back up? I had printed a copy of last month's minutes, but I neglected to bring it with me. And, let's see, are folks ready to vote on approving those? Just a general nod or not, do other
I didn't see
do
any.
folks need to look at?
I wasn't here, so.
Okay.
I haven't taken a look at them, but I could quickly vote on them.
This is it right here, right?
Now, I guess, is that, I didn't put them right up front? No wonder I couldn't find them. Yes, that's why, this was last month's meeting, then I attached them. Sorry about that, we'll pass that along. Need to promote you there, Mike. It'll happen soon, right? Let's see what I found here. My recollection, I looked at these a few days ago, is that we had some issues with who made a motion and who did the seconding. It looks like, I think I found more than one occasion where we,
So polite.
relative to my notes, did not have that corrected, so I think we'd wanna correct that. And look at this, wow. I had a printer problem, so if anybody would like to look at a copy, I have strangely extra copies.
Sure. Thank you.
Easier than-
Naomi, I can copy these minutes before I come here off of the website, right?
That's
Yeah,
what I
that's-
did.
yeah, that's where we get them.
That's what I need to do. I never do. I have time, but I never do.
So let's just try, why don't we start right up front? Do we have? No. So I don't know, I'm not sure what's happening here, but I have the, motion to, well, basically, I don't have that. We discussed the March minutes at this meeting. I wonder if that was from a prior meeting.
Yeah, I got.
Did we do the March ones?
Approve March minutes.
Oh, all right.
I motioned and
Oh, there
Zuzu
you go.
seconded.
Steve moved and Mike, seconded.
Well, I think Mike had a different one on that. Is that right?
My notes, I didn't go back and watch, but I
On the
have,
March ones, you made it?
I have for the, approving March minutes, Mike motioned,
Right.
Zuzu seconded.
Yes.
For April, I have Mark motioned, Mike seconded. I don't know what the,
Yeah, so I agree, and I think that's what we want it to reflect. So, we're taking out on line 24, Steve Nager, we're changing that to Mike Camacho. And then we have that seconded on 24 and 25 by Zuzu. Right?
mhm.
All right, and then the motion passed, and we went on to the April. Instead of Mike moved, we want that to be Mark Phillips. Moved. And was definitely not seconded by chair, as he doesn't make or second motions, except in the rarest of occasion. And that was seconded by Mike. There on line 27, Mike Camacho. So that, I guess, did catch my attention right off the bat. I don't think there's anything in Roman numeral 3. Moving on to line 45, Duck Pond.
Yeah, you can second
Which line are you looking at?
it. 57, 56 and 57.
Right. So, just to jog my memory, Steve did actually get a firm estimate from these folks on doing work at Duck Pond, is that true?
What it says here.
I know, that's what it says, I'm just trying to remember whether that's,
I wrote down a
Yeah,
number.
we
There was a-
appropriated $3,000.
yeah, and,
I have 2074.
Yeah, 40,
In my notes.
2740.
so do we have, I'm sorry, do we have consensus on what that number ought to be? Is it correct as
Well,
written?
it says that Steve authorized up to $3,000.
No, I'm sorry, I'm still up above that on 49.
The estimate, I wrote down 2074. I did not include 87 cents in my notes, but
So
it's
we don't know
entirely
where
possible.
87 came from?
It's possible that I've just,
Yeah, right.
yeah, didn't.
All right, so
include the
that's-
extra.
That's in the margin, so no deal.
It would be well, yeah.
All right. So down to that motion. Huh. Now did we? Did we completely skip over in these minutes the discussion? Or am I? No, that was earlier. Does anybody see the motion that Steve made
Yep.
authorizing me to sign
Pay out of conservation.
regarding bear baiting?
Oh.
Or did that not make the minutes? Motion made by Steve, seconded by Mark.
For some reason, the guests are at the end.
It's 117 and 118.
Yeah.
Fish and game
Oh.
permit for bear bait.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Naomi. On lines 117 to 118, okay. All right, so that's good. Backing up, we did say the 3,000. Conservation fund. And I guess the issue there was that was seconded by Mark, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
On lines 56 and 57. And then so we did lead into another motion as in line 60 to 63. And another motion was made by Steve authorizing my signature as agent to expend on a contract or agreement with USDA. And that was made by,
Steve and
Steve.
seconded by Mike.
seconded, I'm sure about that one. Wasn't seconded by Zuzu? It says
I
here,
did not write down that I seconded it.
Okay.
I'll own it, but
my notes have an ST after an SN, so Steve Nager and Susanna Tatesman, I think is who we want on that one.
Okay.
So 62 and 63 crossover will reflect that it should be Tatesman, not Camacho. Has anybody gotten to 86, line 86 there?
I have a correction for 83 and 84.
Go for it.
The commission discussed the need for further GIS support and data sharing with Meadows End, not with CAI. And that was the purpose of the motion, was to authorize
Right.
money from Meadows End.
Meadows End Consulting Company, yep. And we were correct on those? Motion and second?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And 105 and 107 are correct. The motion and second. Now, we said the next deal with the bear baiting was correct. Okay. Anybody see anything else we need to, should adjust on those minutes? When we're all set, somebody could make motion and second and we'll approve those.
Just at line 115, it should be town-owned land.
115.
Oh, yeah.
Not me.
Nah.
Left us hanging there.
And town-owned land, yes, throw an L in on line 115.
Make a motion, we accept the meeting minutes as amended.
I'll second that.
All right, we've got a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
And one abstain. All right, so
I
we
need to
got,
abstain too because I wasn't here.
you don't have to,
Okay, then I'll say
but
aye.
you can, so, all right. So,
I don't wanna do anything wrong.
let the record show that Sherry abstained. Otherwise, all in favor. And I guess a takeaway from that is it might be helpful for us to be more clear in our proceedings about who's making the motion and seconding it to make it easier for our
Minute taker.
minute
You could
taker.
repeat it, Andy as
Yeah.
chair, it's greatly appreciated.
Yep,
That struggles with ZBA as well, so I just picked somebody, because from the back of the room, they talk over each other, so.
yep. Right, so that one, motion was made by Mark Phillips and seconded by Zuzu, and the minutes are all set. And we're jumping down now to land management items. First one there is the proposed adjustment to the ravine crossing for the next stage of the Duck Pond subdivision. I had asked Naomi a while back that we have a set of plans to look at here. Obviously, we don't have a set of plans to look at here. So the question is, does the town have a full set of full-size plans on the Duck Pond subdivision from eons
In the
ago?
basement somewhere,
In the basement, okay,
it's about this big.
yep. So if we need that, how should I go about getting it?
The whole set?
Right. I just don't know what's involved with it. I don't know whether it's a big ask, a little ask, or a,
Plotter that big, but that's a lot of paper.
well, just to look at what we have in our records.
I could bring it up here and anybody can look at it,
Yeah.
but to actually make a copy,
No, I'm not looking for a scan or a copy or anything produced, but just
I think all the ones that
see
were
what
done in
was
the
submitted.
2006, 2007 timeframe, there's big, huge, which that one was, I believe, at the time
mhm,
too.
right, I remember that one,
The
yeah.
plan sets are about this big, so they're downstairs in the archive room, I guess.
Best way to do that is, what, come over with an appointment and carve out some time to find it? Or give,
I don't, it's downstairs, there's no need of finding it. If you want it for your next meeting, I can just make a note to bring it, if you wanna look at it at your next meeting. I wasn't at your last meeting, so I didn't think to leave you a plan.
all right, it was an email from a month ago, or just after last meeting that I'd sent over, so.
Do we wanna do it
What's
at a
happening
meeting, or
tomorrow?
do we want?
Understand, yeah, things are
Have
spinning.
a special work session to look at that, 'cause that's gonna take a while.
Frankly, what I'm interested in now is just sounding out what if we need to go or feel we want to go there at some point, what's involved, and not much is involved other than being timely and being more upfront and open, or more consistent in the request. So this was I don't think of anything right now that we need to look at. But I was just wondering what the status of the resource is, and the status is, plans from way back when are in the basement, and they can be retrieved and accessed if and when we want to. I'm not looking to spend a great amount of time on it tonight.
I can just make a note and bring it to your July meeting.
Yeah, I would think the most helpful point to have it would be is if we're having a counter proposal from
Okay.
an applicant, NBAC, or if Meridian wants to talk to us again, but we've been charged or suggested by our attorney that we be very open in making a call as to what our position is regarding the proposed change to plans, and once we do that, that's something that town attorney can communicate to the developer. And essentially as I see it, what's transpired is we've confirmed that the conservation easement conditions on the property conveyed to the town established that what was proposed would be contrary to the terms of the easement. So we want to stand behind the conservation easement and say, because they are in conflict, the proposed change to plan should not go forward without somehow, addressing that conflict.
Did they submit a new plan showing what they wanna do?
Not to us, never, nothing to
Is there one?
conservation. I do not know.
Is there?
I don't know whether planning board is considering the issue at all. I don't know whether they are talking with other folks in the town. But we are talking with town attorney,
Yeah.
and all I have privy to is my own thoughts on it. I have not interacted with others in the town about it, and don't try to presuppose any positioning, or there were questions asked by the attorney that I didn't see answers to of others,
Is that, originally it was a bridge,
right?
so there are culverts that can mimic bridges, they're just not bridges. So if they had a new plan showing what they wanted to do, it'd be a lot easier for us to make a decision. If they wanna put a culvert in with a huge slope, like we thought they would do, that's one thing. But let's say they put in a culvert with a simulated stream bottom, right? But it was low down in, but the head walls on each side of it were high. It would be all backfill in there. It wouldn't be a bridge, but it'd be backfill, but it wouldn't take up any more room than a bridge.
Right.
So it'd be a lot.
We haven't seen anything
Right, it'd be
proposed
easier for us to
of
make a
that.
decision on what's good and what's not, other than assuming they're gonna fill in a huge area.
Well, what we saw on the proposed adjustment to plan from a couple of years ago, had the sloped embankment that
Yeah.
would have extended into the,
So what we would probably like to see, if they don't wanna build a bridge, cause bridges are problematic anyway, is a box culvert with a simulated stream bottom with tall retaining walls on each side of it with guardrails. And that way you.
It seems like in something like that, they could approach it within the,
They could do it within the bridge's right of way, and it wouldn't impact any more than it had to, and it would appease everybody. It wouldn't take up any more land. You'd have your simulated stream bottom. We were worried about how long it was gonna be. Now it would be short. It'd be basically the width of the road, right? Cause it's head walls. We see these in other places. This isn't an uncommon thing. And these new types of head walls are fairly inexpensive to build, probably cheaper than a big fill embankment. They're all
Could be.
modular.
now you see much more of it than I ever will.
So
So-
it would be one suggestion we could probably make, and they could consider. And if I was doing a subdivision like that, I would seriously consider that. It's aesthetically appealing. It's a short thing for the wildlife, if we're concerned about going through, they'll go through that. So, something to think about.
That was, as we've seen documented, and as I recall, that was a governing principle in how it was designed, was to afford some opportunity for non-aquatic animal passage through that ravine, where watercourse, migrations are very common for a lot of different creatures, from small to large. And it is much better to have those passages done in the, done below a roadway than over and, above a roadway, so that there's less conflict between moving animals and moving cars. And I've seen that in places where the passage is inadequate, and even things like otters say, I'm not swimming through that, I'm gonna be running across the road, and I'm gonna force you to slam on the brakes, or else, something's having a bad day. That close to an otter once, and it was ludicrous, because it's like, well, that's a river that's going below there, of course, but it's going through a little pipe of old, and just not adequate to the passage of the various things that use it. So what we were looking for, and what the applicant proposed to us, was something that would have afforded an opportunity with a, underspan, natural surface passage below a road, keep them apart. So, we've had plenty of discussion on that. Does anybody want, I guess the sort of motion we'd be looking for is something that would be a clear statement that the commission sees as presented the proposed alteration as in conflict with the conservation easement, and that we would uphold and are bound to uphold the conditions of the conservation easement.
So moved.
Not made, just discussed.
So,
All right, you
so
want,
made.
okay, there we go, that's better. So we have Mike Camacho with the motion.
What are you supposed to say there? What's the right thing to say?
I thought it was so moved, but.
Yeah,
Oh, is that
Yeah,
where?
yeah, if you wanna not have to repeat.
yeah.
Repeat it.
So
Yeah.
moved. My dad taught me redundancy was a good thing, so. Do we have a second on the so moved motion?
I will second it.
All right, so we have Mike's motion and Zuzu's second. And is there any other thoughts, concerns, considerations, commentary on where the Conservation Commission stands relative to the conservation easement on the town-owned subdivision lots, the open space lots?
Who's our recommendation or concerns going to go to?
I believe the motion was a statement of position. So
Just to have it in the record.
essentially, for the record, on this date, Conservation Commission affirmed its intentions to stand by the conditions of the conservation easement, which indicate that the proposed alteration of plan is contrary to the conservation easement conditions.
Is the planning board gonna review this again, or did they already review this?
I have no idea. And I have no coordination with the planning board. We did get out the comment, or Steve put out the comment, that it's hard to monitor a subdivision for compliance when you don't have bounds. And the planning board chair's statement of position was, you don't need to have those bounds until the town is looking to accept the road. So it's kind of saying, applicant, you don't need to have bounds until the work is all done. And then you need to prove that you have bounds before we accept a private road for conversion to a town-owned road. But sometimes these private roads are never conveyed, or for decades. And now you've basically taken the position that we have nothing that we as a town can, well, no, I'm overstepping, but it sure looks like we're saying, do what you will, we can't force you to put in bounds. And how you sell, how you operate without bounds, I don't know. So maybe it's an appeal to the developer, but it's just a request and not a requirement, so. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second, motion by Mike, seconded by Zuzu. Yes, got to support the conservation easement conditions. Any more discussion? There being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? No, it's all in favor. My understanding is that I can communicate that position to the town attorney, who can then communicate that position to the developer, and I do not know what the next step is. My thought would be it's, ball's in your court. If you want to move ahead, what are you proposing? Come talk to us, hopefully, but again, we are not.
But isn't the planning board looking at that change of plan?
That's why I asked, I don't know if they did already or
Okay.
not.
Aren't you on the planning board?
I am, but I've only been in 2 meetings since I started on the planning board.
Maybe you can ask a
I
question.
can ask, yeah.
I'm sorry, Ray, I did not pick up on the connection. I think I knew it was in the works, and I think perhaps you got confirmed there when I was incommunicado on family business. So congrats, and hope it
No, I think
hope
it
it's
goes-
beneficial to you, and I know it'll be beneficial with PB.
Conservation, and I
Yeah.
figured it could be easier between the 2 boards to
Mhm.
get the messages across, and hopefully.
Right. Yeah, it's been quite a while since George Millette was a member of both,
Yeah.
probably a decade ago.
That's why I knew when he came up, I knew exactly what that was, because
Right.
he came to the planning board last week or the week before. So that's why I mentioned, I thought it was a good idea.
Right. Insights into what would be helpful to, better coordinate perhaps what's going on, all years, at any time, so.
Yeah, I
Let
know
me
we
know if you
have
think of anything.
concerns sometimes that don't always get through to the planning board. So maybe we can improve that
Yeah.
2-way, coordination.
On that same topic, nice transition there, Ray. Still keeping with Duck Pond. From last meeting, as we just bumped into with the minute approval, we made an offer to the Board of Selectmen, and I had a response both from the DPW director and from the chairman of the Board of Selectmen. Bottom line suggestion was, well, it would be good for us to coordinate with the DPW director. And he was feeling a little bit singed by some of our commentary implying that the town had, under his direction, had done something it shouldn't have pertaining to a stone drop by the outlet from Duck Pond. And he wanted to be clear that he had done no such thing, and that he would prefer that we have more communication especially before assuming something of him. So Steve apologized. Steve's been driving this one pretty well, and without us being here tonight, I think I can, in lieu of that, fairly summarize that Chairman of Board of Selectmen's recommendation, I don't know if it goes quite as far as requirement, is that we have some direct contact with Jason to hash things out with him, to make sure we're not overriding something he's planned, and make sure that we're not, heading off in a objectionable direction, so.
So if we're gonna have this USDA people do it, we would wanna clear it with Jason first. I think he'd be happy to have them do it, I'm assuming, cause the highway department's
Well,
busy enough as it is.
Yeah,
Trying to
exactly.
keep everything else together, they don't need that extra project.
Right. So I don't think we need to, we're basically still working on our motion and our point of action from last month with, the Board of Selectmen Chairman Knapp saying, one person thinking here, coordinate with Jason, and whatever you guys figure out, it's fine by me. Thinking beyond that, the value of communication, it might be something worth a while for a visit of, yours truly and/or others to a Board of Selectmen meeting and hash that out in public. And oftentimes Jason is there on DPW business, and maybe we coordinate and before we go off on any sort of expenditure, have that public discourse with the other primary parties involved, and at least get on the same page. And Steve had emailed Chairman Knapp, I think, within the last couple of days, just confirming what we have on the table. So I think we're getting there with some of the communications, but we're not quite done. So it's as Chairman Knapp pointed out, it's not a one and done solution. So as I think about that, we don't need to feel like rush ahead now. So let's have this discussion and at least get Board of Selectmen to say, come on in for a meeting, or, you don't really just you don't need to bother us with that. We're good with whatever you decide and have it. I think it's probably good for us to have that on record.
Well, we need to discuss possibly with Jason, because there will be maintenance to this.
Yeah.
And that's the guy that's gonna end up taking care of maintenance on it. We may get it put in for him, but there'll be maintenance.
Yeah, true.
Well,
So-
Jason had mentioned at one of the earlier.
We don't want to step on toes, and we don't want to burn bridges. Well,
He was supposed to have done it, but the town
Right.
got so busy, he
He's
just
had
never
to.
got around to it.
Right.
to be clear, he did say that a device had been purchased,
Yeah.
so it's in town possession now.
Yeah,
He mentioned I could use it somewhere else,
yeah.
but,
I think if we had probably mentioned it to him, what we were thinking ahead of time, he would have agreed that, great, one less thing they have to do, but
yeah,
that's all we have to communicate to them, really. We're willing to pay for it and have somebody that does it every day put it in. I mean, if I was Jason, I would say, great, I'm not him, but they
And I-
wanna do it.
I suspect that's where we get, but we haven't had the direct communication that would smooth the way on that, so I'm just gonna suggest we follow up as
When Steve's
requested
back
and
in
suggested.
Town,
Yeah.
can follow up with Jason on a direct, because he's heading this deal with APHIS or the
Mhm.
NHADA, whatever it is. And he can coordinate that with Jason. I think that would work out the best.
I agree.
So we'll wait till Steve, and you can probably touch base with him and just.
Yeah, next month
Yeah.
we should have, hopefully, hopefully things settle down and we're not running ragged on road repairs like
Gonna say if the rain doesn't stop.
Yeah, I'm sure there's been extra work lately. So, does that sound reasonable to folks?
Yep.
I think we're positioned just fine. We're just not ready to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
approved, let's sign a contract or ask for a contract just yet. All right, there was one other land management item that has been ongoing for quite a while. I see folks have been looking at it great. This is the, I don't know, I think I'll call it an adverse claim of possession, or this, a butter suggesting that part of Poor Farm is not owned by the town, and we've worked this over many a time. We got, or discussed it many a time, and we're ready to move ahead, and we're presented by town attorney with a, titled complaint to quiet title, or something to that effect?
Complaint, it's quiet title.
Yeah. For the Poor Farm, it also includes, or has bearings upon the county lot, which we purchased to be included as part of Poor Farm. And the abutting owner, the Caggianos. And what was before us was a request by the attorney to review it, check it for accuracy, let them know if we have questions or concerns. Steve did have a chance to look at it, and his comment to me was, you know, looks like it covers it. Why don't we move ahead? So, would anybody like to look at a copy of what the attorney sent to us? Does anybody have questions or found anything that looks off kilter? I didn't find anything.
That's what we've discussed in the past.
Yeah. And it looks, I mean, I'm no expert on these things, but essentially to me, it looks like it's basically a request that has to be put forward to a judge, and the judge needs to evaluate information and hopefully rule in agreement with the town. Then we can have that firm adjudication of the very cool, but very real, contrary indications of ownership. So there's nothing heated about this one at all. Right off the bat, Mr. Caggiano was not approaching us as in any way adversarial, but saying, look, my records say something that you say is yours, they say are mine. So to the courts it goes is where we're at right now.
Would the report that was done by the engineer go with this?
Yes, it says here, the Forest Resource
Yeah, so the
Consultants.
judge would review that.
Right.
That would be the proof.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that would.
And in doing some research, there were other potential loose ends that were found with potential owners that perhaps had no continuing interest in some areas, some land, because they essentially fell off the records, fell off the earth, and had no children or no
That was that wood
assignees.
lot.
So, that was the what?
That was the wood lot that was in that little corner on the
Yeah.
maps. Yeah.
So this being identified is something that town attorney is trying to resolve
Yeah.
also, and finding no heirs. Suggests that it can be cleared up at this same time.
Correct.
Notes our attempt to go a different route with the correspondence that we put out there, that we did not and have not received a response. So we have two counts for quiet title. One with Caggiano and the other with Hilliard, Wilson, and others. So I think we could, if somebody would like to make a motion to, proceed with the quiet title action, that would be appreciated.
I make a motion that we proceed with the quiet title as provided by the town attorney.
One second.
What's the word, as noted? No,
Provided.
So moved.
so,
Oh, so moved.
So moved.
so moved is a
You're
motion.
supposed to tell it, and we say so moved.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a workaround
Where,
for when
can you put this in front of me in writing?
You say something clear and concise, and then we're not gonna be able to repeat it as well as you did.
Yeah.
Instead of trying, you
Yeah,
just
you
say so moved.
And then and then somebody seconds it.
All right, so just working the nuts and bolts here. Mark Phillips provides a motion, and I say so moved. Then we get a second? Is that what we were looking for?
No.
No, it would be like
Person.
how earlier you were asked, could someone make a motion that da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da? And no one could remember all the da-da-das, so someone just says so moved, so that it's a workaround. So
All right.
Andy says it, but someone else makes the motion.
Ah,
In this case,
all
though,
right, all right.
Mark made the motion.
Right, so that would not be
yeah,
necessary.
yeah.
So it wasn't necessary.
So basically, you can say the whole thing like
Right.
you wanna say it.
Yeah.
As you write it
Somebody
down,
else is saying it, so moved.
and we just say so moved.
That works great.
Ah, that's, where'd we stumble into this?
I think Salem, yeah, had mentioned it
Okay.
a couple meetings ago.
Tips, yeah.
All the zoning.
Get the guy in for one
zoning,
meeting and he had
planning,
something and then-
selectmen all do that.
Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
other boards have been doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where I got it from.
I got it from the zoning board.
Yeah. So it works good.
Yep. You tend to
All
know
right,
some of
so
the
we have,
verbiage.
yes, that'd be helpful.
I would like to make motions, but I usually get them all jumbled up. Last time I tried, I got all messed up with trying to motion to.
So we have-
2 months of minutes all in one, and that didn't work out at all. I try not to make motions anymore.
So we take a vote.
Yes. So we have Mark's motion with Zuzu's second of that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's all in favor, thank you.
It'd be nice to put this to bed.
Yeah.
It's been
It's
what?
been
3
going
years?
on enough,
At least three.
3 years.
Yeah. All right, thank you for that. Other business, Steve identified a lot that a town owns for tax forfeiture with conservation value. So we would like to request of the Board of Selectmen that that lot not be
Put up for auction.
put up for auction. And looking at that, and just doing a quick perusal of a lot of town-owned properties, there's another one down there south of Farren Pond in the paper subdivision that has become town-owned, that's surrounded by town-owned conservation parcels. So I would say that's a second lot that we would similarly like to be kept from auction, and we would like to make a warrant article next year to designate it conservation.
Do we have a list of all the properties that are going up for auction?
We don't. Naomi, do we have a property auction in the works?
Do we have a what?
Property auction for town?
We've selected someone to auction, yes. We
Yeah.
haven't gone any further than that.
So that's laying the framework, but we don't have the, what,
We haven't got a date yet, we don't have any of that yet.
and haven't passed along, these are the ones that we are considering, so.
No, we gotta clean up the show first.
So just a thought.
What's the
knowing-
best way for me to make a appeal to the selectmen on a couple lots that we do not,
You can write to the board. You're welcome to write to the board.
okay.
So just a thought, knowing how the taxpayers react to money, how things go, would it behoove us to offer some money to the town? Doesn't make sense that it's town,
It's owned
owned
by
by
the town.
land, but the taxpayers are gonna wanna say, you know, why are we putting up all this land to conservation? We could have sold it for taxes and, you know, it goes to the general fund and we don't wanna attract any more negative attention to ourselves.
I would think, Ray, that would be a situation we might find ourselves in if there was a readily developable piece of property.
The one off Wildwood is definitely not, that's a paper road,
Yeah.
it's like Jeep. Actually, the people don't even drive down that, so that I don't think would be an easy
Right.
lot to sell.
I think the first thing to do would be to appeal to the selectmen and ask them how they feel about it. And
Right.
it would be beneficial to put that land in conservation, cause it abuts already conserved land.
All right, and the one Steve mentioned provides a access that potentially allows some interconnectivity between,
Yeah, so that's
Parcels,
worth a
so-
lot. That's, especially if you wanna develop a trail system, that would be very helpful if everything was connected.
yeah.
Is the Marsh Ridge Road over by Farren Pond?
Is what?
Off of the
Marsh-
end of Bow Road,
To what?
it's at the end of Bow Road,
No.
it was never done, it was never developed. It's paper subdivision, from like the seventies or eighties.
'Cause these were the two that were emailed.
Right, right.
But I just don't know where that is. I know where that is.
This is the one that's south of, like way south of Farren Pond. So it's, you know where we built the bridge and we have a parking spot to get to Farren Pond? Out-
Okay.
Are you familiar with that spot out on the
Yep.
Class 6 there? If you keep going to Class 6, you go up the hill, then there's a huge sort of bog straight in front of you. And the road, the Class 6 continues around to the right
Okay.
along that bog. If you go left at that spot, the road goes through the water, coming out of the bog, sort of into the woods down the hill. And way back there down the hill is where this paper subdivision that, as Naomi mentioned, was set up in the 70s and never amounted to anything. And 10 years ago or so, actually, Gordon Russell donated a property that he owned down in that area, and then subsequent to that, I think, by a few years, we put a warrant article out to designate another 6 or 8 lots down there, most of them small, as conservation, of course, still town-owned, but for conservation purposes by town meeting. So I just noted that this one was not so designated at all, and you know, maybe this was abandoned more recently than the last time we looked at those, so looks like it. So I think that's probably essentially the forfeiture date.
I don't know. This one says 96. I think that's when the last time it was deeded. So that changed hands in 2016.
Yeah. All right. I don't think we need a motion on this one, but I will make a request, and if anybody wants to motion it, we can do that, to the selectmen on these 2 properties that they be considered for future conservation designation and kept off the rolls from future auction potential. Great, thank you. Perhaps the last item we have is New Hampshire Timberland Owners Association membership renewal. Looking for a motion to pay the $50 dues to renew our membership and pay that from the town forest account.
So moved.
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, so, we've got the motion by Ray. All right, Ray Lemay, and the second by,
Mark.
Mark.
all right. Then with that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in favor. Suzu, would you pass that along to Naomi and see if anything else might be needed of us on that? And here's where you all have a chance to weigh in on things happening or noted or observations, items. Or we can have that
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn by,
So moved.
no, see,
You have to second it.
Yeah.
Second.
you guys got to confuse the heck out of me. All right, we're gonna adjourn. And we're gonna say, that's 8:15, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Sherry.
Sherry, yes. Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome.